A new age for the universe.
Start it now. Clack. Look at my Grumpy Bear mug. This is actually my wife's mug, but I'm drinking peppermint tea from it.
Aren't you a sophisticated individual? Welcome to episode 222 of Watching Complain.
222.
Today we'll be talking about Rebel Moon Part 1.
You didn't make any jokes about 222?
What joke would you make about 222?
I'm sure there's one that you could dig for, but you're not very good with jokes.
Warning, we will be spoiling a lot of what happened throughout the movie we are covering.
Not to mention, there should be a contest to not fall asleep during this movie, because this movie challenges you to fall asleep.
Oh my God. Was it something?
I recorded notes.
First,
I usually don't.
First, pre-thoughts. Before you get into spoiling anything.
I knew this was going to be shit. I hate Zack Snyder.
Famous director.
So I sat down and watched this movie. Knew when I was going to hate it. You can tell I went to the Zack Snyder School of Speakingness. But I realized after watching this movie that I don't think I'll bash Zack Snyder movies, but I don't think I'll bash Zack Snyder or fans of his work anymore. And I'll tell you why. And this is the part that you should make a little tick-gram of, or insta-tick, or super talk, or whatever they're called.
All right, TikTok, go.
I am not going to make fun of Zack Snyder movies. I'm not going to make fun of Zack Snyder himself. I'll make fun of his movies. And I'll tell you why I won't make fun of Zack Snyder. Because, we all knew a person in school, either that or we were this person, who was like 15 and was drawing a picture of a tiger or a lion or a person. And when they showed it to you, they're like, yeah, I'm pretty good at drawing. I don't like to brag, but I'm pretty amazing at it. And you look at it, and it is the shittiest picture you've ever seen. It's like that Napoleon Dynamite Liger thing that he puts together. But you don't want to hurt this person's feelings because they put all of their fucking effort into it. So you don't want to make them feel bad. So you go, you're right, dude. That's pretty awesome. Or the guy that's like, God, I'm so great at basketball. And the one time, the 500 times he's trying to put a dunk in, or not a dunk, even a one-point shot. A free throw. There you are.
Three-pointer.
He gets it, and you got to go, you fucking go. Good job, buddy. That's who Zack Snyder is. He doesn't realize how bad this stuff is, but he is doing his best. So I'm not going to bash Zack Snyder because I think he's one of those guys that's terrible, but is trying. He's trying his hardest. So I'm going to say, you go, Zack Snyder. Good job, buddy. You keep trying. You keep shooting for the moon. You'll never get there because you're so horribly terrible at it, but good on you for trying.
Do you think he's got that complex of like the American Idol contestant that the family goes, "Oh, he's so good. Oh my goodness." And then he believes it. And he's like in front of the judges and he's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so good." And then they go, "No." But then he doesn't believe it because his family and friends.
He's the, what's his name? William Hung guy.
Yeah.
But
not William Hung. There's other people that go on there and their friends are like, "Oh my God, she's so good." And the contestants go, You're not good.
Look at this guy's filmography. He made Dawn of the Dead that everybody said was great. Dawn of the Dead is not very good.
I enjoy
it. It is a great script because it's written by a great writer, James Gunn, who we all know I like very much. Yeah. And he had the movie almost kind of works for the first part of it, but then as soon as the zombies start fucking like running like track stars, that's where I'm like, no, this is stupid. Also, you've got a built-in IP with Dead movies, right? Because people have known, Night, Dawn, and Day for so long. And then he makes 300, and 300 already had this built-in audience. So he always got, goddamn Mike, he always got stuff that had a built-in audience.
Yeah.
And then even when you look at, for some reason, Warner Brothers decides to give him Man of Steel. Man of Steel is headache-inducing. It's one of the very first movies I've ever watched that it's an assault on your senses. I remember I was watching. I went to the drive and watched it with a buddy of mine, and the end part when Superman has got his fist up and he's fighting that big tentacle Megazord or whatever it was. The stereo started crackling because there was so much fucking noise.
Yeah.
And the movie is such noise. But my point is,
it keeps doing that.
And then Warner Brothers is like, this is the guy we should give our cinematic universe to. So imagine
He's
the guy
got
must
all
be
the buzz.
Yeah, the guy must have such an inflated sense of grandeur. You know, and people must, because people have told him, dude, you're amazing. Take over this entire DC cinematic universe.
They're like, Joss Whedon is not working. Here's Snyder. Well, he'll save the day.
Yep.
And then that goes pear-shaped.
Again, remember, you can't bash Zack Snyder. So think of Zack Snyder who thinks, you know what is amazing? This dark, gray, slow, tired,
I got that
dull,
backwards,
cinematography, story, everything. Oh, I just paid $2 to paddle.com. I think that's
they're my favorite.
My this thing that I use to keep the background of a site I have to use for work dark. Not the point. The point is, someone gave him this ideology, probably all of his fans, that this is a good thing. To have this boring, tepid, dull, gray, dark, slow, plodding ideology to your movies is awesome. So you keep doing it, buddy.
Well, the problem in this movie, without saying spoilers, is that it does that slow, tepid thing, but then you have like 15 characters that you're introducing, and you're doing it so slow that by the end of the movie, you've introduced the last character, and you go straight into a battle.
Hey, I got a question for you. Can you tell me anyone's name?
No.
That should always be your first, and in my opinion, your first and foremost, which word I'm looking for, like dead giveaway, that a movie's not very good.
Everyone got two lines.
Once it's done, you're like, the fuck? I remember one person's name, only because it's in my notes, Cora, the daughter. I remember her.
The main character?
Main character.
Yeah.
Remembered her name.
She's the star.
But you're not going to remember, anything else. And again, I'm not going to remember all the fucking names from like Seven Samurai or fucking.
But you also don't care about any character.
Yeah, in this movie, yeah,
absolutely any character.
The reason I bring up Seven Samurai, we'll get into my notes, but this movie is. There's homage and there's just outright ripping off.
Oh yeah,
this movie is outright ripping off other movies, and I was like.
The biggest
that takes
one,
balls.
The biggest one is
Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right, so I started this stupid movie. I was going to start it at night, and I'm like, nope, I will fall asleep, and I want to actually be awake for this movie.
I was going to ask you how many times you fell asleep.
None, because I started.
Whoa.
I woke up, I got all fresh and what do you call it? Fresh and something-eyed, bull-eyed, bushy-tailed.
I was falling asleep, and so I had to cut it and then finish it today.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. There's what I'm looking for. So I woke up. It was like 6:15 in the morning, and I came down here to the movie room, and I started watching it. But then what made me laugh was the movie starts with the soft, calm voice of Anthony Hopkins giving you a voiceover that is boring and monotonous. Then you have the soft rumbling of a massive starship as it passes by. Then you have the calm visage of a planet with quiet violin music as this girl tills the earth. And it made me feel like Zack Snyder was legit trying to put you to sleep at the start.
I legit thought it was Attenborough at first.
Right. Because it is a scene out of something. Like, you would watch this, you would use this in the Calm app to put you to sleep.
It was like a documentary of an alien planet.
It's so dull. And then, here's Cora, and Cora's the girl that's there, and you're like, yeah, sure, okay. And then they go to a party.
They show off her rippling muscles. It got right away.
Yep. Well, what I like, too, is everybody else is dressed like a fucking Quaker, except for her. And I have that in my notes, too, that she's the only person on the entire planet that found a push-up bra. So, she's not a very ample girl, but she's
not that
ripped
that
as
matters.
fuck. No, but she's ripped as fuck.
Ripped.
But she is the only one whose tits are up here. Everyone else is dressed like a Quaker, but she's got a push-up bra that is pushing her tits to her fucking chin.
Those are pecs.
But also, they have a whole party, and then the dad and his daughter are talking about her relationships after the town feast, and I'm like, man, this movie needs to calm down with how exciting it is. And again, think of the movie that is ripping off the most, Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the opening of Star Wars and how you are immediately engaged in it. Think of the opening of fucking Raiders. Think of the opening of Lord of the Rings with that whole backstory. You're instantly invested. This movie is beyond fucking boring.
And it looks like the actors just don't care.
Nobody gives a shit.
No,
Not to mention, and I have that in my notes too. I don't want to spoil. All right, I don't want to spoil it, so I'll get there. So, space Nazis. And when the guy shows up,
so obvious, yeah.
When the guy shows up and he's like, "Oh, well, you've got to give us some of your food." I understand that you're not. I'm like, "Oh God, we get it, Zack Snyder. You saw Inglourious Bastards, and you're trying that scene of the opening of Inglourious Bastards.
Imperial
the problem
Nazis,
is,
yeah.
you're missing the amazing acting of those actors and the fucking absolute top direction of Quentin Tarantino, and it's so boring. That is this movie's biggest downfall. It is fucking boring. I've seen some people talking about it, and what's funny is I wasn't gonna give this movie a fair shot because I knew I wasn't gonna like it. But if it had some exciting parts, and I think it had one part that I was like, "Heh," but if it had any exciting parts, I'd be like, "Okay, cool, man." You know. And it was after I made the decision that look, Zack Snyder is trying his hardest. He's not very good, but he's trying his hardest.
He needs someone to write dialogue.
He needs someone.
Wow.
When you look at 300 or even the not very good Watchmen, when he's working from someone else's script or someone else's words, with someone else's cinematography already in mind, he's adequate. But when he makes it up on his own, he is terrible.
It's like he's improvising the whole thing, and it's just falling flat, completely flat.
Yep. I also have... so Zack Snyder has a unique ability to create situations that are so entirely without tension, that are supposed to have tension, that I find myself getting angry that they are tensionless. And what made me write this down is the scene when that girl's going to get raped. I think Sam is her name.
Yeah.
Is going to get raped. And then Cora shows up and says, put it down. Yeah, well, I'll rape you. Yeah, you're a bad guy. Bang, bang, bang. And then all this, shooting commences. But you're like, oh, my God. Just get this scene over with so the next scene can happen when she's got to take off because, oh, no, now they know that she's shot all these guys, so she's got to leave. Just get to that scene. This is so fucking boring. It's so tensionless.
Yeah, and it's like it's all slow motion once it gets into it. But at least it looks good. But then there's no choreography there. Like, it's like he's doing his own choreography for everything. Mm-hmm. And, like, he's got the cinematography in. He's fine. That's fine. But there's so many jump cuts in these fight scenes where you're like, wait, what?
Not to mention the laser, the force of these laser guns is completely all over the fucking map. So sometimes he can shoot him and he goes, and he falls over and he's got like a little sear on his chest.
Well, they're like molten lava.
Yeah, there's like lava pouring out of them. And then other scenes you can shoot right through somebody's fucking head. There's never any blood. And this is another thing that I think is quite comical. This movie comes out as PG-13 or whatever it is. Zack Snyder immediately pisses on this version and says there's a Zack Snyder cut version of it coming. So again, this guy's got such a fucking
That's
delusion
where all the jump cuts are.
But he's got such a delusion of grandeur that he's like, hey, I'm putting this movie out. Don't bother watching it. Wait until my longer version comes out because you're going to like that version. Like,
I'm going to play off of the Justice League thing. And
but imagine.
But it's not going to go anywhere because no one cares.
Netflix is like, dude, we gave you like $200 million fucking dollars to make a movie that we have marketed the shit out of. Probably another $100 million to market this turd. And you're just going to shit on it now? Like, again, the guy's fucking delusions of grandeur are massive.
I have a feeling Netflix is also beyond. Behind that whole thing. Like,
maybe,
and with him, like we're gonna get the same thing that happened to your other thing
to Warner Brothers. Yeah, but it's funny. My wife was like, "How does he get money? Why do people give him money?" I'm like, "It's all fucking name recognition. It's all Zack Snyder cut." release the Zack Snyder cut. Those are hashtags that Netflix
That
knows
people
you're
remember.
gonna click on. You're gonna click on.
Yeah.
So that's it. Imagine you're no good as a director because he's not. Look, he's trying his hardest, but he's fucking
He
terrible.
should just be a cinematographer. I think he's good at that.
I think he's adequate as a cinema. But my point is, imagine not being known for how good your work is, or even one element like, hey, you're kind of a shit. Like J.J. Abrams, perfect example. Absolutely horrible writer. J.J. Abrams cannot fucking write to save his life. Action directing, fantastic. Amazing action director, but he can't write worth a shit. And Rise of Skywalker proved that to everybody. But with Snyder, the only thing Snyder's known for is being like buzzwords. He's known as the guy who they took a terrible tragedy in his life to cover up the fact that he was fired from the Justice League. And enough nerdy fans argued to have his cut of a movie, which was complete shit.
No, it was better than the original.
But still, look, dude, shit with perfume on it is still shit. And then
it was good. I liked it. It wasn't great, but it was good.
the point is, then they put all this money into Rebel Moon, and it's fucking terrible. And he's even said, "Oh, there's a Snyder cut version of this, so people are gonna have to suffer through that one."
It's just an
then there's gonna be a
excuse.
second fucking Rebel Moon, and then a Snyder cut of that one. But it's all because this guy was able to build this this grandeur idea of the Snyder cut being something that people want. In his defense, it was an amazing ability for him to be able to do it. But this movie, all of his movies, in my opinion, just dog shit. They're just terrible.
Next note.
Cut me off.
Yeah, well, what's more do you have to say about that?
So, remember, bad guy decides to throw things at the robot voiced by Anthony Hopkins that decides they fight for the king, but the king is dead.
Yeah.
So he like throws mud or throws it in the mud or
No,
some
he
shit.
shoots him.
Yeah, but there's all mud in its face too.
After
it falls in the
he
mud.
falls in the mud.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought it was poop.
So
Like horse poop.
which it could be,
Yeah.
right? Those fucking weird bone face horses. But the point
CG
is,
horses.
the robot then goes to the water and is washing its face.
Yep.
Why would
Because
a
he was
robot
told
need
to
to
do
wash
so.
his face? Was he told to wash his face?
Yep. He said, "Go clean yourself off."
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
didn't notice that because I'm watching. I'm like, why the fuck is a robot washing its fucking face
Yeah,
off?
why do they care? They don't.
And then
And then also, where did it go?
oh, he stayed there, and then you saw him at the end again. He was helping
It's
out
going
with something.
somewhere.
He was doing something.
And
But,
no, his crown grew too. Like what?
He killed one of the horses that was growing horns, and he was like, "I'm going to be the horse king now."
He's just got the horse face plate.
But it's also why, whatever, who cares? But as soon as Cora says, "Oh, I'm gonna have to leave, and you'll come with me," good-looking, other good-looking
Yeah.
guy who is in a farming community,
The second choice.
and we're gonna go. We got to go get some fighters, and I'm like, "Oh, this is Seven Samurai. Okay, cool. I really enjoy Seven Samurai." But then it dawned on me, I was like, oh, dude, Seven Samurai is like 3 hours and 45 minutes long. And I look at my watch and I look at how much is left. An hour and 45 minutes. I'm like, this is going to be an hour and 45 minutes of Seven Samurai. I'm like, dude, I don't want to watch that. And then that's what it turned out to being.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then I was like, yeah, kudos to Cora for finding push-up bra in space. Also,
Oh, I'm sure they would. It's futuristic.
but why did no other girls have push-up bras?
Maybe they did. It just
She was
didn't-
the only one.
They just.
Why on that?
They can't have
fucking-
bigger boobs than
Why
the
on
main
that
character.
planet? Every girl had bigger boobs than that girl, which is why they were all dressed like fucking Quakers. But I
That's
like
the
how
thing.
she's the only one that's got a tank top on, her tits up here. I was like, Jesus Christ.
This is what Rob looks at consistent, like all the
What
time.
else? What else was it going to look at? It was all brown, beige, gray.
Her muscles.
Also,
But she was always on screen going like this.
I like how my dad was the guy that leads the rebellion. And you're like, okay, her dad's the bad guy. I get it. The Luke Skywalker thing. Got it. Cool. Except that then I wouldn't fight for my father's bad guy, so I decided to leave him like, oh, she's Gamora. Okay. Like these what are supposed to be like moments, you're like, oh.
Oh, I
okay.
had no moments in this.
No.
movie.
But what he
nothing.
wants to be those moments, you're like, oh.
Especially
okay.
the main one where
The
you're just
double
like,
cross?
really?
The double cross?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the bad acting,
Here's my one good note. At least the slow-mo looked good in 4K.
That's what I'm saying. Like the cinematography was great. It's
That's
just
not
it was
cinematography.
choppy.
That's just slow-mo.
It was chopped up and it wasn't consistent. Remember the part where the big dude, they're all big dudes, but the big dude was on the ship and he had the big metal rod and he was going to stab the pilot to stop him from shooting up the bridge.
Yep.
So they
Yeah, the big black
they
dude
do
with
the
the
stab.
dreadlocks.
Yeah, they do the stab and it misses the guy and so it's there and then you would think they would film the guy going, "Oh, I got to get that back," and go, "Oh," and then do this. No, they just cut to him going back. Like, oh, I just killed the microphone. But
Destroyed it.
it goes from like the rod is in the seat, and then we cut to back in his arms for another stab, and I'm like, why wouldn't you go for the whole?
It would make the movie longer,
make it
and
6
we didn't
hours
want the
longer.
movie to be any longer. What could possibly be in a longer cut of this movie? Like more space travel, more walking? Like what could
actual
fucking possibly be in
Actual interaction between the characters that were picked up along the way.
it? There was way too much interaction.
There was none.
I thought
It was just okay. Here's a new character.
your
This is-
backstory.
What backstory? Just the current story. You had
Okay.
more backstory of the guy who rode the stupid crow than you had of any other person combined.
Holy mo! Okay,
And there was
So-
no backstory. It was just I can ride a fucking crow.
I look at my thing. An hour and 28 minutes left to go. I've been checking by the timer maybe roughly every 5 minutes. At least it seems like I've been checking every half an hour, but it's only been every 5 minutes because the movie plods, goes fucking nowhere. Then there's a cantina scene. You're like, okay, I remember the cantina scene in Star Wars. Fuck, that was good. Remember the cantina scene in Star Wars? There's music and there's hustle and bustle and there's shit going on. Oh, I wonder what that guy's doing. None of that. She walks up. There's Charlie Hunnam looking at her. And I got to admit, Charlie Hunnam is perfect as the Han Solo guy. He looks good. I know he's going to act the part. But she goes up and
The Irish dude.
he's British, but yeah,
in this,
with
he's
his awesome Irish
it was
accent.
awful.
Oh, it was bad.
It was so
that's why
bad.
I said, what, Charlie Hunnam as Han Solo is a good choice. Being Irish is not. But she goes up to this thing, to the bar, and there's a guy that wants to fuck her buddy that's with her.
He had
And
better acting than most of them.
And she's like, no, you can't fuck him. So the guy goes,
Just like that.
if you don't let me fuck him, I'm going to come back here with 10 guys. She's like, go fuck yourself. And
You
he
would like that.
leaves. So you're like, okay, this movie has got to be smart enough to pay that off, but later. It's got to be smart enough that she comes back to this cantina and that guy is there with 10 guys and she fucks them all up. That's called a fucking, a pitch and a catch at the end, right? You pay that off. No, they don't do that. Instead, what they do is she goes, hey, Charlie Hunnam, space battles, come with me. Oh, yeah, I'll go with you. Blah, 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 in that Irish accent. Then she walks up. Then there's the guy with 10 guys. Yeah, I'll shoot you. Bang, bang, bang. Slow-mo. All right, we'll beat them. Bye. And you're like, guys, you're supposed to save that to the end of the fucking movie.
Well, not
I
the end, but
couldn't-
somewhere, yeah.
That's the payoff, to do it at the fucking end.
Why? What would you do at the end?
Because it calls back. You remember that scene.
I know, but what would be the point?
Because it's more interesting than doing a minute and
Sure,
a half
it's
later.
more interesting, but what's the point to the story? Nothing. It doesn't do anything.
What if she goes back?
This is just
think
a
of this.
straight.
Think of the fucking Lord of the Rings. All right, in the book, and right, fine. This is very geeky. Fast forward, like I did with fucking this, like I should have done with this. Just fast forward this.
No
part.
one's watching at this point and
In the
goes,
end
oh,
of
it's
it-
too geeky now.
In the end of it, they return back to the Shire, and Saruman and Grima Wormtongue are there in the Shire, and they're a Sharky and Grima, and they've taken over the Shire and whatever.
So many words.
But the hobbits go back and they are now kind of battle hardened, right? They know how to fight for themselves. Whereas before they didn't know how to. That's how you pay that off. We're like this. We'd never be able to fight those guys now. We go back. We can fight those guys. Think of fucking Back to the Future. George McFly, there's no way he could stand up to Biff. End of the movie. He does stand up to Biff. That's how you pay it. You set it up, you pay it off.
But it doesn't matter because, like,
It makes for a more interesting goddamn story.
Not in
That's
this
more of
story.
a character development.
yeah, but the character development won't happen at the end,
You never know. I could hope.
especially with a guy who's dead by that point.
This movie stinks.
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah. So they go find I'm just gonna call him Hunk. I don't know what his word was. Hunk with nice hair.
Oh,
And he's
yeah,
like, hey,
the crow guy.
this guy belongs to me. He owes me $1 million. But if you can make him break that bird, you can take him. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember Avatar. God, this scene in Avatar was so boring. Hey, you know what? It's like Zack Snyder said, that scene in Avatar was boring. I'm gonna double down and make it even
Take
more
all
boring.
the hype best seeds from all these movies.
Because the guy's riding the bird, and you're like, okay, and then he falls off the bird.
At least he didn't like put his hair into the penis hair.
It's true, but he falls off and then runs up the mountain again, and then jumps, and then it's slow mo, and then lands on the bird, and then fly. And you're like, okay, and then he lands a bird. He's like, oh, he broke the bird.
Not to mention he gets scraped against the wall like 15 minutes.
Yep.
Not one tear on his skin, nothing.
On his glistening, sweaty, gorgeous body.
I'm just like, any of this would like just scratch him, kill him, nothing.
Because the bird has a protective quality.
Yeah, it's got this bubble around it.
But then I like
anything
he
that
lands,
happens to you, you're invincible.
and he goes to the old guy, or he says to the fat dude that was in charge of him. He said, "Hey, all right, I broke your bird.
Not broke, but like
broke the
him
bird.
in. Yeah,
That sounds worse."
it does.
And he's like, "Okay, I guess your debt's paid. Bye." And the guy leaves, and then Hairdo looks over at Bird, and Bird's like, "Rawr," and stomps and kills the guy, and he's like, "That a girl." And I guess in the ship and leave. And I was like, "Okay,
Couldn't have done this before.
You know what else might have paid it off? If that guy looks over at the bird, and the bird's like, yeah, dude, I'll remember you. And he's like, yeah, bird, I'll remember you.
The bird's hand comes up.
Like,
yeah.
right? And then at the end of the movie, that guy has to go
my
back,
God.
and the bird is there. Like, any sort of setup and fucking payoff.
I agree.
Never happens.
The bird should be, but there's no end of this movie.
And there never fucking
There
will
never
be.
will,
That second
yeah.
one won't be either. But the bird's got to come back. But I was like, break the bird. Oh, step on the guy. Well, bye. And that fucking scene's over.
That would be brilliant if on this planet at the end of this movie, the bird comes up back, even though there's no possible way the bird can be on this planet. Just comes flying in from the clouds.
So
Oh my God.
I'm just going through my notes.
Next was the lady with the
Oh.
killing the spider.
So I said, dude, this is boring. And then, so lightsabers, fire swords. And she fights some fucking Spider Woman. Now, if you're a Doctor Who fan, what this reminded me of, do you watch Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Do you remember, I think it's a Christmas special, the second Christmas special with David Tennant when he's with Donna.
I don't remember last week. but
They
sure.
discover that spider lady that wants to take over the planet Earth. And she's like a Spider Woman. She's got the body of a spider, and she's a woman on top. That's what it reminded me of. And I'm like, oh, I remember Doctor Who. And then I'm thinking to myself, see, every scene of this movie, and then I'm like, man, I should watch more Doctor Who. I watched the
I
three
should watch all
ones,
these things it's trying to.
and I really
Copy.
got to watch that new Should He Got One.
Oh, I'll go back to Star Wars.
Yeah, I should go back to. But that's anytime a scene like that came up, it reminded me of what it's ripping off and how much
This
better
reminds me
what
of
it was.
Dune.
But then the fight, so she's like, slow mo fights.
Especially when the fights are like going the normal speed, and then all of a sudden, in a weird spot, it'll go slow mo, and you're like,
But then she's like, wow, that was awesome. No, it was not awesome. It was very sad what happened here today. Hey, will you come with us to fight? Yeah, all right. Bye.
she's like, hopefully that you'll never be in a place of revenge. And then it turns out the reason that there was a payoff. They just mention it real quick that she's the lady who had their kids killed, and she was coming after the Empire for revenge, and that's it.
Okay.
That's her backstory.
And again, you're like, all right. And then there and the thing. Now, I am so bored that I'm looking at the reminders on my phone to make sure that they are set up on the days I need them to go off. And this is when there were 53 minutes remaining. The next scene with black dude who's been in Guardians and he's been in lots of other movies. He had the long dreads and then they cut him off. I completely didn't pay attention to any of that. So I'm going to have to shut up and you're going to have to explain what happened there.
Oh, they found him drunk because he hates his life now. And they're like, come with us. No, I couldn't possibly. I'm this person. Oh, are you? well, I still can't come. And then she says something that gets him to come. And he's like, okay. And then he's not drunk anymore.
Did they give him a haircut?
I guess so. I guess he would do that to himself at this point. I don't know.
Oh.
Do they have a hair salon on the ship?
Maybe she used her fire swords. It would cauterize her.
No,
Really
that
well.
would work. Yeah.
So
But, all this would be great. All these backstories would be great if there was backstory. But like a little like montage, a little history video, like something that shows it instead of just saying it in a script.
Or instead, what you could do is that backstory is delivered as your movie progresses. Like, think of Guardians of the Galaxy, great example. Think of movies where their backstory is delivered as you're watching the action commence.
Yeah.
Do that.
Or Avengers, where they have separate movies.
But even if you don't want to do separate movies, but think of
Give them a television show on Disney Plus.
but just like deliver your backstory and include it with some sort of exposition, like, oh yeah, we're going to find, Gilgamesh. I remember I hunted Gilgamesh once because remember I was the prince of Barbagon, and like deliver it that way instead of just, yes, I was once the prince of Barbagon. We need you to be the prince of Barbagon again. No, I don't want to be prince of Barbagon. We need you though. Okay,
And then that's it. The rest of the movie, we don't even go back to him until we get to the battle.
so it comes to the brother and sister. The black brother and sister, their brother and sister rebels, whatever.
Yeah. They're the rebels that they've been looking for the whole time.
Yep. We need you to join our fight.
So we go to this planet where it's like Swiss.
So
the Swiss.
this guy's rallying speech. Now, we've seen amazing rallying speeches, dude. We've all seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart. We've all seen Aragorn and King Theoden in Lord of the Rings. We've all seen Bruce Bill Pullman in Independence Day. These rallying speeches that you're like, yeah, you jump up out of your seat. You're like, let's fucking go. This guy's rallying speech.
Too long.
These people are just like us. We were like these people once. And what did we do?
Will we die as martyrs or will
And
we
I'm like-
die as one of them? Or
I feel like I
that?
wanted to put it on like 5 times the speed. I'm like, dude, hurry up. And then everyone, the music is not swelling. The music's like, duh. And all the people are like, and then when he goes, we'll fight. And they're all like,
Who is with me?
yeah.
And they're all looking at each other like,
yeah.
did he
And
finish his line?
Then the one girl walks up. I guess I will.
And then he's like, yeah.
It's also
One person.
boring.
And then after the one person, finally a bunch come in.
But
forward.
it's so boring.
But you'd expect like them all to step forward, like, I will do it for the empire, not empire, for the rebels.
Yeah, for the Empire. But what's fucked is you want the people to go, yeah, like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fucking on. No, instead they're like,
No,
all right.
I hope he doesn't pick me.
It was it was mind-boggling how boring this movie was. Even the fucking action is boring.
They're like, okay, let's go. And they're like, I guess.
Okay, I guess we're going.
Which
And
ship?
then, okay.
We're taking the ships.
The guy who likes to get sucked off in tentacle porn, he's the space Nazi guy. He shows up. Now, we've already been told who all these people are.
Yeah, we were at the docks.
And he has them all in the little spider robots.
Yeah, which came out of nowhere. It's just like, surprise.
Yeah, we got 40 of them or 7 of them. Or
The
however many they
Irish
have.
guy was actually. It
Oh,
It goes
no.
from, hey, you know what? Something's about to happen. And she's like, what? And he's like, surprise, robots. And the robots take them all into custody. That was easy.
Hey man, Charlie Hunnam was trying. He was trying. I'll give him that. Cora, that girl was a bad actress. Like, dude, she's trying, but everyone would be, how are you the one that has double-crossed us? I will never believe someone like you again. It was like Gal Gadot fucking acting.
Well,
she was
who-
awful.
There was another girl that was like this in
Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
no, she had like the emo look and everything.
Wonder Woman.
Stop that.
Wonder Woman.
Wasn't that?
But yeah, so then the bad guy, Mr. Suckerfish, has all of them locked into their spiders. And he's like, Prince Gilgamesh, you were the one that fought for my father on planet Mustafa Bababel and Bababliging and
goes through
fought
the
the... And
origins
I'm like,
again.
oh my God, are you going to fucking go through every goddamn one of them and do their origin story? And he fucking does.
And it was like, these are the surprise things that like you pretty much said the whole time already. So I'm like, what's the surprise?
Holy
Like,
fuck. It's I can't put into fucking words how incredibly boring this fucking movie is, man.
it's one of these movies where I feel like he did like 8 hours, which makes sense considering, and then had to cut it down to 2.
So also, speaking of your spear scene, a spaceship is designed to go through the vacuum of space and have meteorites and fucking asteroids and fucking lasers and shit hit the front of it. But you're telling me some guy comes up with a spear and goes clunk right through the fucking glass?
He's strong.
And tired and slow. I will.
Did you see
Let's
that?
rally up and stab.
The way he ran on that beam made me think he's never ran like ever in his life.
Okay, also, so my last point is, does he do that too?
Probably halfway through.
Zack Snyder didn't get the memo that
He was supposed to make a good movie.
green screen, having so much green screen that it is obvious that your people are just standing in a green room and aren't acting with each other. That's not a good thing. We've seen it way too much in Ant-Man. We saw it way too much in
Expendables.
the Expendafortables.
Yeah.
We've seen it way too much, and people see it. The entire end when Korra and Suckerfish guy are fighting, I was like, oh my fuck, this is so awful, because they're supposed to be in the breadth of space and on this fucking huge spear or spire that's
This was A New Hope, right?
Oh no! Technically, Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm not the Star Wars guy.
I just called it Star Wars because it's all the different Star
including
Wars.
the hanging and everything. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
But yeah, I was like, oh my god, again, because your brain knows that there's no real possibility of anything actually happening. You know, there's a second movie, so no one's going to get hurt. No one that matters is going to die.
Well, he didn't make anyone matter anyway.
Well, what's funny too is she throws him off the side or something. So she throws him off the side, and it shows that she bashes all of his teeth out, and then he goes over the corner. My first thought is like, okay, that guy's still alive, but if he isn't still alive, I guarantee they clone him from his teeth. And then it showed afterwards they put him in that like bubble.
I don't even know.
Which who the fuck knows what's going on? By that point, I was so uninvested in anything. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what happens anymore.
Transport him. Put him in the water bubble, and it will suddenly transport. I think it was just like his consciousness was transported.
Who cares?
And then he came back, and then they put him back.
I think it was Zack Snyder frantically scribbling down some things that are cool, man. They're cool. And that's what it was.
Now he's Bane. Batman. Bane. He pumps liquid.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah,
poison
that's
through
right. Yeah,
his
the blue.
veins, and he gets
Yeah.
big and yeah.
But yeah, then the movie. Okay, it's over. I will never watch this again. I can't.
Well, part 2. We got to finish this.
Hopefully, there's a recap because I won't remember any of this. It was so.
The recap's going to be last time on, and it'll
Rebel
just be
Moon.
some guy going
You know what I'll do? I'll watch our review. But it was terrible.
for
it
40
was
minutes.
terrible.
No, you won't.
So, movies that this ripped off. I have the ones that I think it ripped off. What do you think ripped off? Let's see how many we agree with.
I said Star Wars for sure.
Yep.
Then Dune, just to feel, I guess. What else? You had the 47 priests. I don't know what it's called.
47. 47 priests.
27 Ronins.
Yes,
swords?
7 samurai.
Seven
very,
samurais.
very similar
Yeah,
to 47
I was close.
Ronin.
I've never seen that, so I don't know.
God. This is
what-
riveting, by the way.
Okay, what else?
I have Star Wars,
Okay.
Inglourious Bastards,
Oh yeah.
Seven Samurai, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, Avatar.
What was the Game of Thrones?
The whole, all the different families, and I fought for the king who was once your brother, but what about the
Which would
trying
be
to set
great in a TV series
the
where it
trying to
explains
set up
everything.
of effectively dynasties.
Yeah, I
you know
got
what I
you.
mean?
Well, that was one other thing that in this movie where it's like you took on way too much history for a movie that's 2 hours long.
Yep. But again, what's fucked up is he's trying to set up these dynasties, so you're supposed to care about this empire versus these rebels. Do you remember?
I'm still confused about it.
Do you remember in the first Star Wars movie, which this movie is ripping off? So we're gonna use that as an example, or at least I am. All you know about Empire is bad guy and rebels, good guys.
Yeah.
That's all you got to know. You don't need the whole fucking history. But the last thing that it ripped off, in my opinion, was Warcraft. That movie Warcraft, where you have these big
all the races,
all these big races, and all the big the guy that came in to Bang 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 when they were in the cantina, like these huge fucking aliens. It's like, dude, like, just don't have that.
What's
stupid.
This Sophia girl, was she
Who's Sophia?
Supergirl in Flash?
Who the fuck is Sophia?
The main character.
Cora.
What's
her real name? Sophia?
Sophia Boutella?
Was she the Flash or the Kara?
I think someone else is, and I think she's supposed to be this new version of this girl.
She was terrible. Her acting, and maybe it was just
I thought
her
she was
direction by
okay,
Zack Snyder.
but I think it's the rest of the story just didn't match.
Her dialogue, especially at the end when she has to confront Charlie Hunnam, her fucking dialogue was so stilted. She was like, "I can't believe you are the one that has forsaken us. You are the one that is a." I'm like, oh my God, man. Someone sent her to fucking acting lessons. That is bad. Not that I'm any fucking actor by any stretch of imagination, but holy fuck, she was bad.
Is it Sasha Cali?
I don't fucking know who these people are. I knew Charlie Hunnam and
that's the one.
She played that's not what's her name?
Supergirl?
Yeah, no, that's not
I know it's not, I didn't say the same person,
Holy
but
fuck.
I said like
So, you know what Phil just did? He brought up the IMDb page or Wikipedia page of a different actress saying this was Supergirl. And I'm like, is that Corey? He goes, no.
No, I'm saying they're similar type characters. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Racist.
So, anything else?
No.
Out
This
of-
movie fucking sucks.
What's this movie called again?
Rebel Moon Part 1. Oh,
Out of-
what's the subtitle of this movie?
Part 1?
No, it has a fucking subtitle name. Without looking at it.
I got rid of it. I don't know.
You don't remember?
No.
Was it A Child of Fire? The Child of... Holy
That's-
shit, is that it?
I got rid of
Look at
it.
the Flash. What are you doing? A Child of Fire. I knew I was right.
Who cares?
She was the Child of
That's
Fire.
the other thing. The history of this is like the robot thing, like turning on the king. When did that ever matter in the whole thing?
When will it ever matter? But you know what it is? I think Zack Snyder is going so doubling down so much on this that he's like, okay, I'll make 2 of these. They're going to be huge. And then I can make TV shows and I can
all
make
this
cartoons.
lore, yeah.
All this lore. Yeah.
And people will fall in love with it. It'll be the big revival of
And if they do,
Netflix.
then
No.
Godspeed. Good to you. Good on you, Zack Snyder. Good for doing it. You're doing it, buddy. It's junk.
If I don't think this is worth watching, no one's going to care.
If your son made a really terrible drawing for you and was like, Dad, do you think this is the best horse you've ever seen? It has like fucking 8 legs. It's got 2 heads. He's like, Dad, is this the best horse you've ever seen? Of course you go, dude, that is an amazing horse.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy. Because you want to instill your kids to be passionate about things and to do what they're passionate about. That's what everyone has done for Zack Snyder. He sucks at it, but everyone's been like, you do it, buddy. Rebel Moon's going to be awesome.
But that's the difference with the internet. Like, there are people out there saying this is shit. And,
Yeah,
and look at the
like me.
critics. Like, they're saying it's shit.
Nobody likes it, but did it make a lot of money?
It's Netflix. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm assuming it probably made some sort of money.
The funny thing with Netflix is there's things like this that it's just going to go like under the radar. Like, what was it? The Covenant or something? There was like some other.
Yeah, that Guy Ritchie movie, The
like
Covenant. Yep.
Thor, what's his name? Was in it.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
And
about.
like it goes under the radar, even though
they
it
made
was
like 2
a good
of them,
movie.
right?
Yeah, and like they're good movies, but it's just like no one cares.
Yep.
But then they'll watch Cake Baker seasons 1 to 12, and they'll go gangbusters over it. What the fuck? This is
What's wrong with Cake Baker?
Cake Baker XL, and then you got Cake Baker She-Mail, which is fine.
Cake
if
Baker
you're into that.
She-Mail.
She-Mail Cake Baker does gangbusters.
She-Mail Cake Bakers. I think I've seen that video.
We should make
No,
a
mine was She-Mail
we gotta
Pie
make a shirt
Eaters.
of that one now, dude.
She-Mail Pie Eaters.
Okay, so out of 10
Oh,
Rebel Moons,
Christ. Out of 10 Rebel Moons, I'm not going to be cruel, but I'm going to say...
you're not going to be cruel. We were cruel the whole time. People are like, why do you guys piss and moan about things?
I'm going to
That's what we
say
do.
a solid 3. Because he failed. Not miserably, but he failed. I can't give him passing grade. I'm not going to go 4 because the 4 means you almost got there. You didn't even get close to there, but I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to hammer the guy. He's trying his best, so I'll give him a solid 3.
2. It just wasn't good.
You just hate Zack Snyder.
No, the only thing good about this movie is the girls' muscles and the cinematography, mostly. The cinematography, not how it was edited.
Yeah. If I had to see, I don't see the 4K and cinematography as the same thing. But the not 4K, I'm sorry, slow-mo. The slow-mo, some parts of it looked cool in 4K.
All the slow-mo looked great. It's how it was put together. Like the cinematography, how it looked, great. But it's just how it's put together, how it ends up. It's all over the place. It's not segmented properly.
Check it out. We've got disk space remaining for recording 69 hours.
Let's do the rest of the night. 69 hours.
Let's
about
69
Rebel Moon.
tonight.
Let's make Rebel Moon Part 2 right now.
Or we'll just sit
It'll
here
be
waiting for the
much
next
better.
69 hours until it shows up.
No, because that'll be when the Snyder Cut comes in.
Oh, amazing. Are you going to watch the Snyder Cut of this garbage?
I think he's going to put out Part 2 later and see how it goes.
Yeah, Part
And
2 I
then
think is April.
He's going to put them together, and that'll be the Snyder Cut. And it'll be like, well, yeah, it's both of the moons.
supposed to be one
it's
big
both,
story.
Both of the moons put together.
Big old Rebel Moons.
Oh, my God. Bad.
Oh, man. Yeah, terrible.
You just like watching yourself.
I like watching myself frozen. Let it froze.
Okay.
We are sorry, everybody, that you've been watching Complain, especially this episode for such a shit movie. But you can follow us on our socials, which are
Just go to
Facebook,
watchingcomplain.com.
watchingcomplain.com, Instagram, Threads.
And what's the next episode?
The next episode is Rebel Moon Part 1, Part 2,
No.
Child of Fire and Ice.
Child of Rape.
No, our next episode is Rebel Moon Part 2.
No.
Next
Not
episode
out
is
yet.
Gremlins.
No.
Next episode is Empire Strikes Back.
No.
Next episode is
You won't let me say bad
The
things. about
Covenant. Star Wars Holiday Special.
it. Best of
Best
2023.
of 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought you were looking at my stomach.